Bobby Whitlock, the gifted musician whose soulful voice, piano mastery, and songwriting brilliance helped shape one of the most revered albums in rock history, has died at the age of 77. For those who lived through the era of Derek and the Dominos, his name is inseparable from the sound and spirit of that band, a group that burned brightly and briefly but left behind a legacy still echoing through decades of music history. His passing was confirmed by his longtime manager, Carol Kaye, who told TMZ he died in the early hours of Sunday morning, 1:20 a.m. to be exact, after what she described as a brief illness. Later, in a conversation with Variety, she revealed that Whitlock had been battling cancer. Though the illness was swift in its final stages, his last moments were peaceful. He was at home in Texas, surrounded by his loved ones, the kind of setting most people hope for at the end of a life's journey. It was his wife, Coco Carmel Whitlock, who gave the most poignant expression of what his loss meant to those closest to him. Speaking to TMZ, she shared a statement that read less like a press release and more like a private letter, unfiltered in its love and grief. How do you express in but a few words the grandness of one man who came from abject poverty in the South to heights unimagined in such a short time, she wrote, her words brimming with admiration for the arc of his life. My love Bobby looked at life as an adventure, taking me by the hand, leading me through a world of wonderment from music to poetry and painting. I feel his hands that were so intensely expressive and warm on my face and the small of my back whenever I close my eyes, he is there. Those words painted a portrait of a man who was not only a musician, but also a dreamer, a creator, and a partner who poured his soul into everything he did. To understand Bobby Whitlock's journey, one has to go back to March 18, 1948, when he was born in Memphis, Tennessee, a city that, even in his childhood, was already steeped in music history. Memphis was a melting pot of sounds, gospel pouring out of church doors on Sunday mornings, blues drifting from street corners, country music blaring from radios, and soul being forged in clubs and recording studios. But the Memphis of Whitlock's youth was also a place of deep poverty for many. He was the son of a sharecropper, and his family's financial struggles were not the kind that could be hidden or softened. They were a daily reality, and music became both an escape and a form of resilience. As a boy, Whitlock found himself irresistibly drawn to the piano, the church organ, and the human voice as instruments of expression. He grew up on the raw emotion of gospel choirs, the foot-stomping energy of rhythm and blues, and the aching sincerity of country ballads. In Memphis, music wasn't an abstract art form, it was woven into the very fabric of daily life, something you felt in your bones. He learned early that music had the power to lift people out of their circumstances, if only for a few minutes. In his teenage years, Whitlock began hanging around the musicians who worked at Stax Records, the legendary Memphis label that defined Southern soul in the 1960s. He became acquainted with figures like Booker T. and the M.G.S. and Sam and Dave, soaking up lessons from musicians whose grooves and harmonies would influence him for decades to come. He wasn't just studying music, he was learning about timing, feel, and the unteachable chemistry that makes a song connect with people. The turning point in his early career came in 1968, when he joined Delaney and Bonnie and Friends, a dynamic, genre-blending act that defied easy categorization. Delaney and Bonnie fused rock, soul, gospel, and blues into a style that resonated with both critics and fans. Their touring band became a revolving door for some of the most talented players in the business, and Whitlock's time with them was like a crash course in both performance and collaboration. It was here that he first played alongside Eric Clapton, bassist Carl Rattle, and drummer Jim Gordon, three musicians who would later join him in forming Derek and the Dominos. Delaney and Bonnie's tours were grueling but exhilarating, taking Whitlock from small clubs to arenas, sometimes sharing bills with acts like Joe Cocker and the Rolling Stones. The camaraderie among the musicians was intense, but so was the pressure, and Whitlock thrived on both. His voice, raw, soulful, and unmistakably authentic, set him apart, and his keyboard work added texture to the band's already rich sound. The seeds of Derek and the Dominos were being planted, even if none of them could see it clearly at the time. By 1970, the pieces for Derek and the Dominos were in place. The four core members, Whitlock, Clapton, Rattle, and Gordon, came together while working on George Harrison's monumental solo album, All Things Must Pass. The chemistry between them was immediate and electric. These were not just session players thrown together, they were kindred spirits who found in each other a shared musical language. Clapton, who was already a global guitar hero, was searching for a way to step out of the spotlight and be part of a true band. Whitlock, with his Southern soul sensibilities, was the perfect counterbalance to Clapton's blues rock fire. The group's only studio album, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs, was recorded in Miami under the guidance of producer Tom Dowd. The sessions were fueled by creative intensity, personal drama, and more than a little substance use. The centerpiece, of course, was Layla, a song that began as a desperate love letter from Clapton to Pattie Boyd, then the wife of his close friend George Harrison. But Whitlock's contributions were vital. He co-wrote several songs, sang lead and harmony vocals, and played keyboards that gave the music its soulful undercurrent. Tracks like Bell Bottom Blues and Any Day bore his signature, marrying heartfelt lyrics with melodies that stuck in the listener's mind long after the music stopped. The release of Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs in late 1970 didn't initially set the world on fire in terms of sales, but its reputation grew steadily, eventually being hailed as one of the greatest albums of all time. Musicians studied its arrangements, fans clung to its emotional honesty. Layla itself became an anthem, and while much of the public credit went to Clapton, insiders knew that Whitlock's fingerprints were everywhere on the record. Without his voice and his soul, the album wouldn't have been the same. The band toured in support of the album, with a young Elton John, just beginning his meteoric rise, opening for them. Those shows were a mix of brilliance and chaos, as the music soared but tensions within the group simmered. By Whitlock's own account, the end came when the personal conflicts between Clapton and Gordon reached a breaking point. They were kind of having a war, he recalled years later, noting that the heavy drinking and drug use among the band members only made matters worse. The breakup was as abrupt as it was final, leaving behind only that one perfect, bittersweet album. Whitlock didn't fade away after Derek and the Dominos. He launched a solo career, releasing a series of albums that showcased his songwriting chops and emotional range. While none matched the commercial impact of Layla, they earned him a devoted following. Over time, he collaborated with numerous artists, each project adding another layer to his already diverse resume. His personal life took a joyful turn in December 2005, when he married Coco Carmel, a singer, songwriter, and saxophonist. Their bond was as much about creativity as it was about romance. Together, they recorded music, performed live, and supported each other's artistic endeavors. In 2006, they moved to Austin, Texas, drawn by the city's vibrant music scene and sense of community. For Whitlock, Austin became a second home, a place where he could play for appreciative crowds without the pressures of mainstream stardom. Friends and fellow musicians often described Whitlock as a man of contradictions, a private soul with a public gift, someone who could be intensely focused in the studio yet warm and generous in personal interactions. His Southern upbringing never left him. It was in his manners, his humor, and the unpretentious way he carried himself. His passing leaves a void, but his influence remains. Musicians still study his work, fans still find solace and joy in his recordings, and Layla continues to haunt the airwaves, its famous guitar riff instantly recognizable to generations who weren't even born when it was first recorded. Bobby Whitlock's life was proof that a boy from the cotton fields of the South could rise, through talent and sheer will, to shape the soundtrack of an era. He leaves behind not just music, but a testament to the power of following one's passion wherever it may lead.